In misty Britain, where the land is soaked with rain and forests conceal more than they reveal, there are stories whispered softly around campfires. One of them is the mystery of the Ninth Legion, a legion that vanished, seemingly dissolved into the winds of time. Imagine thousands of highly trained soldiers, the pinnacle of Rome's military might, who had fought in the harshest battles and always emerged victorious, suddenly disappear, without a trace, without explanation. This was a legion with a long history. The Ninth Legion, also known as Hispana, participated in wars during the days of Republican Rome. It was formed in the distant past, even before the birth of the empire, and had already earned a reputation for being invincible. The Spanish Legion, as it was often called, fought in Spain, battled barbarians, suppressed uprisings, and defended borders. It was part of the relentless machine that Rome used to build its great empire. But what happened to this mighty legion? How could an army that was impossible to break on the battlefield suddenly vanish without a single mention? This is where the intrigue begins. Historians still debate where and when the Ninth Legion met its fate. Some say it all happened in Britain, that distant and wild province where Rome struggled to maintain control. Britain was a place where civilization and chaos collided. The legions stationed there were more than just an army. They were symbols of order that Rome sought to impose on this untamed land. Legend has it that the Ninth Legion disappeared somewhere beyond Hadrian's Wall, in the harsh northern lands where cold winds and fierce tribes reigned. In those lands lived the Picts, tribes known for their ferocity and resistance. They were true phantoms of the forests, their warriors vanishing into the mist only to strike suddenly like predators. Imagine silence, thick morning fog, and then out of nowhere, dozens, hundreds of warriors armed with spears and swords emerge. Even the disciplined Roman legions could break under such an onslaught. Many believe that in one of these skirmishes, the Ninth Legion was destroyed. They were sent north to subdue rebellious tribes, but instead of victory, they met their demise. Perhaps the Romans encountered a fury they were unprepared for. Perhaps their plans were betrayed. No one knows. But after this expedition, the Ninth Legion is never mentioned again in the records, as if it simply ceased to exist. However, it's not that simple. Some sources suggest that the legion might have been disbanded or sent to other provinces, where it simply faded among other armies. But why then was its fate never recorded? The Romans loved to document everything: victories, defeats, even mundane barracks reports. And yet when it comes to the Ninth Legion, we are met with silence. This silence has given rise to countless theories. One suggests that the legion was completely annihilated in northern Britain. Another speculates that the legion was transferred to the eastern provinces, possibly Armenia or Parthia, where it met its fate battling a stronger enemy. But regardless of where it happened, the mystery endures. Now imagine the scene: a massive legion, thousands of soldiers marching along the rocky roads of Britain. Their armor gleams under the grey, cold sun. Banners flutter in the wind, and the sound of their footsteps echoes through the landscape. These men are confident in their success, for they are Rome's elite, battle-hardened warriors. But the further they march north, the thicker the fog becomes, the deeper the silence grows. This is not an ordinary silence. It feels as though it is watching you. There is a story told in Britain about how the Picts lured the legion into a trap. It is said they used cunning, leaving trails leading deep into the wild forests. The Romans, confident in their superiority, followed, only to find themselves in a place with no way out. Hills rose around them, the fog obscured their vision, and the forest seemed alive. And then, when the last soldier entered this trap, the nightmare began. The Picts did not attack openly. They were like ghosts. Their strikes came suddenly, on the vanguard, then on the rear. The Romans tried to regroup. But how do you fight an enemy you cannot see? Soldiers fell one by one, and the forest seemed to absorb the sounds of their cries. It was as if the very earth had turned against the legion. Some say the battle lasted hours, others claim it was over in mere minutes. But the result was the same. The Ninth Legion vanished, completely, without a trace. But here's what's strange. Why did Rome remain silent? Why did no historian of that time leave a detailed account of this catastrophe? Could it be that the defeat was so humiliating that it was decided to simply erase it? After all, Rome built its image on invincibility, on its legendary discipline and strength. A legion that vanished without a trace could undermine that reputation. Perhaps the Senate or the Emperor himself decided to bury this episode in secrecy to avoid panic and doubt. And yet, in Britain, rumors persist to this day. People claim that in the misty forests, you can sometimes hear footsteps that seem to echo from the past, the rustle of armor, faint cries, ghostly voices. They say these are the spirits of the Ninth Legion, who never found peace. Maybe it's just folklore, or maybe something truly happened beyond Hadrian's Wall that turned history into legend. Some archaeologists claim to have found evidence suggesting that the Ninth Legion might have been transferred from Britain to the east. Perhaps they were sent to the lands of the Parthian Empire, where the wars were even more brutal. But where is the evidence? Why is it that all we have are fragments of information? Every time it seems we are close to uncovering the truth, the answers slip away like water through our fingers. But here's what truly stirs the imagination. Several years ago, during excavations in northern Britain, Roman artifacts were found: shields, spearheads, fragments of armor, all belonging to the Ninth Legion. But here's what's strange. These discoveries were made in a place where, according to all records, no Roman army should have been. What were they doing there? And why are there no records of it? Could it be that the Legion was carrying out a secret mission no one was meant to know about? Or perhaps they were simply sent to their doom. The answers are still missing, but one thing is certain. The mystery of the Ninth Legion remains one of the most enigmatic chapters in Roman history. And perhaps this is one of those mysteries that is never meant to be solved. Or maybe someone simply doesn't want us to know the truth. Now imagine, thousands of years after the mists of Britain engulfed the Ninth Legion, the forests still stand, silent and impenetrable, and in the places where the footsteps of Roman soldiers once echoed, only the sound of the wind and the whisper of trees remain. Yet the question persists, a question that compels historians, archaeologists and dreamers to return to this legend time and time again. Where is the truth? There are even darker theories. Some suggest that the Ninth Legion fell victim not only to the Picts, but also to betrayal. Imagine one of the Legion's own officers could have made a deal with the enemy. For gold or promises of safety, he might have led his comrades into a trap from which there was no escape. The Romans always feared internal enemies more than external ones. Such betrayal could have been so shameful that even mentioning it became forbidden. And what about those who claim the Ninth Legion was never destroyed, that it never perished? Some say the Legion may have fallen victim to something more mysterious than a simple battle. Legends speak of strange mists, which, according to ancient tales, had the power to pull people into other worlds. They say the Romans stepped into this mist and never returned. Fantasy? Perhaps. But why do such stories continue to be passed down from generation to generation? Curiously, many locals in northern Britain still speak of Roman ghosts. They describe them as figures in armor, seen on nights of the full moon when the fog is especially dense. These specters wander through the forests, silent with empty eyes, as if still searching for a way home. At times, it seems like mere folklore, a myth created over centuries. But why does this myth persist so strongly? Why has it withstood the test of time? There is another detail that adds to the intrigue. In the year 1899, a group of archaeologists studying the area around Hadrian's Wall uncovered a peculiar artifact. It was a medallion engraved with the emblem of the Ninth Legion. Even stranger, this medallion was found alongside remains that appeared to belong to a Pict. What does this mean? Was the medallion a trophy taken in battle? Or perhaps it was lost by a Roman soldier who somehow ended up among the enemy? And yet, despite all the mysteries, we are drawn to this story. It's not just the disappearance of the Legion that captivates us, but the idea that perhaps some things can never be fully understood. The Ninth Legion has become more than just a historical episode. It has become a symbol of how fragile our understanding of the past can be, a symbol of how even the most powerful army can disappear, leaving behind only questions. But think about it. Isn't this the magic of history? It is never black and white. It is a world of shades, mysteries, and ambiguities. And as long as we keep asking questions, history lives on. Perhaps one day we will learn the truth about what happened to the Ninth Legion. Or perhaps it is better to leave this mystery where it belongs, in the mists, among the whispers of trees, and the echoes of ancient footsteps that can still be heard if you listen closely. Perhaps the Ninth Legion disappeared physically, but its story continues to inspire us. After all, within each of us lies our own Ninth Legion, a mystery, a battle, a secret that we carry deep inside. So, my friends, the legend of the Ninth Legion stays with us, shrouded in the mists of time, filled with enigmas and unanswered questions. It is more than just a story of a lost army. It is a reminder of how little we truly know about the past, and how, despite its uncertainties, it continues to fascinate us, urging us to reflect on our own lives and the legacies we leave behind. Each theory, whether it is death in battle, betrayal, or something mystical, adds its own stroke to this historical canvas. But perhaps the most important lesson of this story is that it teaches us to ask questions. What is truth? Where is the line between myth and reality? And how do we want to write ourselves into history? Think about it. Each of us leaves a mark. Even in our most ordinary days, there is something that can become a story for those who come after us. What mark do you want to leave? What story will they tell about you when you are gone? The Ninth Legion reminds us that time may obscure much, but it cannot destroy the essence of who we were. Thank you for being with me today and delving into this mystery together. If this story inspired you, share it. Tell me, what mysteries of history captivate you? What secrets ignite your curiosity? And remember, sometimes the search for answers is more important than finding them, for it is in the search that we find ourselves. Until next time, my friends, and may every step you take, like the steps of those Roman soldiers, leave a trace that someone will one day remember. Take care of yourselves and live in a way that your stories inspire others.